Hi, I'm Derek Hooper. I've been teaching golf for almost 20 years now and taught players from new golfers and juniors right through to tour players and to older players. And if there's one thing that I've found that is going to take a player from where they are today to where they want to go to, it's having a plan in place and then being able to work that plan right through until they reach their goal. And I want to talk today a little bit about what the steps are that are involved to getting to that. For those of you who are serious about improving your golf game, there's no shortcut. There's no quick fix, there's no short solution, there's no move your hand this way and all of a sudden you're going to be a great player. It involves a little more than that. So the first step I talk to my players about is, what are their goals? What do they want to do? Where do they want to go? Are they looking to win their club championship? Are they looking to break 100 for the first time? Are they looking to break par? Do they want to eventually maybe get out on the PGA Tour and make a living out of playing the game? Where is it that they want to go to? And once we've set that very, very clearly, we then put a timeline on that. When do they want to reach that goal? Are they looking to reach it this season? Is it 3 years from now, 5 years from now? And we start talking about, well, where do we want to go to, and then what time frame have we got to get there? The next thing we need to figure out, once we know where we want to go, we have to find out where we are today. And there's a couple of ways that we can do that. There's a couple of tools I use to help players figure that out. One thing that we do is we use a rounds analysis system. So I get players to start tracking how many fairways they hit, how many greens they hit in regulation, how many putts they have per round, number of 3 putts, what are their sand saves, what are their greenside saves. And then the other thing I'm starting to track too with players is I want to know how many shots does it take them to get on the green from either inside 50 yards or inside 100 yards. And I'll decide on which of those two distances I use based on the player. Better players, I want to know how many shots it takes them to get on the green from inside 100. The less skilled players is inside 50. And ideally with that last stat, you want to be on the green in one shot once you're inside 100 or inside 50. We don't want to be taking a pitch shot and then a chip, or a pitch shot and then a bunker shot to get it on the green, because we're just throwing away shots there. Once I've done that and I've identified a little bit on where the areas are that they may need to improve on to go from where they are today to where they want to go, I'll then also ask my players to complete a skills test. So I'll get them to do a short game skills test, which will involve short putting, long putting, middle distance putting, bunker shots, chipping and pitching. And I want to know within the short game what shots specifically give them the most trouble. So once I've gone through that, I'll then also do a little bit of video work with them on our V1 system here. I want to have a look at their technique, let them have a look at their technique as well, and see what might be causing their poor shots. Usually I can see it pretty easily when I stand on the tee, but I like the player to be involved in that process so that they can see why they're having difficulty hitting the shots they want to hit and thus shooting the numbers that they want to shoot. So the next thing we'll do is we'll take all that information together and we'll sit down and we'll start to write out the plan of what we need to do. We're going to prioritize the areas that need to improve. We're going to identify the areas in which this client is doing very well. But then we're really going to figure out, what are the areas that we've got to focus on? What are our highest priorities to get them to improve and thus get to where they want to go? And then we're going to talk about, well, how are we going to improve those areas? So we'll sit down, we'll talk about, well, if it's putting, we've got to then go look at the putting technique, make sure their technique's okay, make any changes if there are any that need to be made. And then we're going to start talking about, well, how should they practice? What drills do they need to put in place? And then how are they going to execute those drills? And then also measure their progress as they go through. So a lot of the time we're talking about changing some technique in certain areas, but then it's about how do you practice. And I like to see the practice which is focused. I want to see some pressure on it. I want there to be outcomes and consequences when they're practicing. So they'll spend some time on the technique, but then they'll also spend some time where it's more target oriented with consequences and outcomes similar to what they would be out on the golf course. I want the players practicing under pressure. So, and then once we've gone through that, we're then going to track their progress. So I'm constantly getting players to continue to keep their stats of their rounds even as they're going through this process. I want them to do a regular skills test, so again I can track their progress on the way through, and we're also doing some video on the way through where it's necessary as well. Now, for me it's important to have a coach involved in that process, because you as the player can't see what's going on all the time, and you may not have the tools necessary to be able to evaluate your game objectively. There is a lot of good information out there, whether it be in the form of magazines or on the internet or on television. The challenge for you as the player is knowing what is relevant to what's happening in your swing. The information is good, but does it apply to what's happening in your golf game? You know, we're all time poor. We've got to try and get out there and use the time we have as best as we can. And although you can use the outside information or try and go it alone, I think that working with someone who can help guide you, help you focus where you need to focus, and also keep you accountable for what you're doing is the only way to get it done. So to sum up for you, if you're serious about improving your golf game, to me there's only one way to do it, and that is going through an improvement process with someone, preferably a PGA professional who knows what they're doing. This is what we do here at the Hank Haney Golf Academy at Lake of Isles. We do it with our clients regularly. So the first step, you want to set goals. Where do you want to get to and when do you want to be there? Step 2, where are you today and how are you going to assess where you are today? Step 3, once you've collected that information, what are the areas that need to be improved so you can go from where you are today to where you want to be in a certain number of years or months' time? Step 4, how are you going to implement those changes? What changes are you going to make? Where are you going to get the information from so that you know what to change? And then step 5 is tracking your progress so that you can make sure you are heading in the right direction. I'm sure if you can get away and work on that plan, you will improve. If you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me or email, either by phone or email. I'd love to help you out. Good luck with your golf game.